Hi, my name is Mark Green. I'm part of the Info 358 class, along with Michelle Markey and Rachel Johnson. We're working on our second project on Xlink Consulting, a student-run consulting firm out of Xavier University, working with the parent company Econergy. They work with local Cincinnati companies, as well as larger companies throughout the Cincinnati area, and actually with some clients even outside of Cincinnati, such as Pennsylvania. So to start, who is Xlink? So briefly touched upon it. They're the student-run consulting firm. They deal with students and real-world clients. Their overall goal is to give students experiential learning opportunities while giving clients usable recommendations that they can use in day-to-day business practices. So whether these be in the form of deliverables, such like that nature, they vary based on the client. But overall, it's pretty general. Just a big consulting firm, obviously student-based as well as outside-based. So the goal of the database and the whole purpose we had the project was Xlink needs to track various different areas, so such as students, the client, the projects, what project students are on, as well as partners on those projects. So for each project, there's actually an outside partner that works with the project to help the students with some of the issues they could have when actually doing the project. So the goal of it was to actually synthesize all this data, and as a second portion of it, actually track the students and what training days they go to, just to see how trained they are overall. And then it can also act as a way to see how many project students have done overall. So the actual database goal that we talked about was to provide a system that can effectively synthesize all company data in clear, concise database that is easily updatable and effectively fits Xlink's needs. So some of the issues that Xlink had in the first place, which I briefly touched upon, but just the inability to track student, partner, client, and training information. It's currently tracked within Google Docs and Excel spreadsheets, so really cross-platform, kind of tough to track overall. They are growing, actually, quite a quick rate. They are a startup, so they are in their growth phase of that area, and they need to be efficient. If they can't have their data organized, it can cause some issues when they're trying to grow. The information is spread out through multiple documents, so even with them being on Excel spreadsheets and Google Docs, there's not just one. They're spread out between 4, 5, 6 documents, so it's tough to keep track of them all. And also some of the data is being lost post-project. So for example, let's say I have a project with, for example, Listerman's, and I have a project partner that's on it as well. A lot of the times after the project, the data is not stored on client information, such as the main contact Listerman's, as well as partner information. So let's say like the partner's main email, their phone number. A lot of the time it's just changed through emails. And it's only had by the people that were on the project. So that's not within a database, which isn't the end of the world at times, but it can also be useful for future projects trying to follow up with the clients. Another one is document accessibility. So them being on the Google Doc, a lot of people can actually access if they really want to. They just need to get shared with it. So security with some of this sensitive data can be at fault, which we tried to address with the database, just by having only 1 or 2 people working on it, which we will talk about that a little bit later as well. And then the inability to currently track training session information with partners, students, clients, and interactions as well. So the way the training days work is students have to complete a certain number of training days before being able to do higher level projects. So with this, right now, the only way they're being tracked is by an attendance policy, and we have to go through and just count them individually. So we really just have, all right, well, this is the attendance that people had that day. And then here we have a whole deck of how the students did on their scores. So they actually have to get scored on different areas to be in the training day. But overall, there's not that cross-platform for it. So ideally, this database can actually link that. So we can see exactly what students went to what training day, as well as how many training days students have actually gone to. So our solution, the database, it's gonna be an Access database, tracks all student, client, partner, project, and project teams, as well as the training data. It creates tables to store massive amounts of data without the fear of it being lost, whether it be through the Google Docs not being updated, or people not putting in information or sharing information after projects. This is an easy way just to have it all in one singular area. It'll be able to accurately track complex relationships in the data. So for example, counting the number of students that went to a specific training day, or what training day students went to on both sides of it, as well as count the number of projects a student has been on, or a partner, or how many projects we've done for a specific client. Also helps with some financial information, tracking total revenue from the projects, or the cost that students, the cost of hourly salaries for the students, so we can calculate that out and see how much they've gotten paid overall. We can also condense all the information into one location. So rather than being spread out across multiple Google Docs, we can instead just have it in here, and there it is. It's all together. They can also quickly and efficiently obtain the needed data. So it's all within one place, kind of comes back to that last point, where if it's all there, they don't have to go searching through Google Docs or Excel spreadsheets to find it. And ideally, they know the point person to go to. So right now, there's been issues with people not having access to certain information that they need. Now it's, okay, one singular person is in charge of the Access database. Text them, they can get you the information. Last one is it's an intuitive interface, easy for clients, partners, and students. So all it is they just need to track their information. So they just have to get the clients, well, as it's laid out, it'll be the client's information, so their names, the company name, their address, their phone numbers, such of that nature, just general information. And we can get that on just regular Excel spreadsheet, and we can actually upload it directly to the Access database. So it's very user-friendly, very easy. So overall, talked about this a little bit already, but what we'll track the student information. So projects complete, training days complete, and the student projects team's membership. So pretty much all that is tracking what students are on what's team. Client and partner information. So that, as I talked about briefly, but I'll reiterate, the clients are the ones we're doing the project for. The partners are the ones that are helping with the project. So the client information, we will have a portion where actually the company that we're working with, as well as a client, a company personnel table, where what it does is it actually tracks the people within the company and various types of contact information for them. Lastly is the training day attendance and the partner company student involvement tracking. So the training day attendance I already touched upon pretty strongly. The partner company student involvement tracking, that one is pretty straightforward, just the involvement had in the projects. So whether it be what students have been on what projects. So let's say I was on the Listerman's project. You can track that through the table. All right, I'm going to pass off this to Michelle, who's going to tell you a little bit about the model.
I'm Michelle, and I'll be explaining the model that we made for Xlink. So we made separate entities for every part that we wanted to track. So starting over on the left, we have training day. We connect the training ID, which is the unique identifier, to the student training table. And then we also have student table connected to the student training table by its unique identifier, the student banner ID. So this relationship here creates a unique entity and tracks the relationship between students and training days. We also have partner, and this is connected to partner contact. So by this relationship, we can see which partners and the contacts that they have. And then we also connected partner contact to partner project, and we connect project to this partner project entity as well. This tracks the projects that certain partners are on by the PCID of the partner contact and the PID of the project. Then we also have the student table connected to student team and project connected to student team. We use both of the unique identifiers of each table and connect them to student team to create an entity that explains student teams. And we also have the hourly rate that students earn and the hours worked. And this creates a relationship that tracks the student teams, hours that they worked, and how much they were being paid. We also have a unique one-to-one relationship between the student table and the project table. This tells us that each project has one team leader. And then we also have the client table. Unique identifier of this is CID, and we connect it to the client contact table. And the unique identifier of this is CCID. So this tells us the clients at different companies and gives us our contact information. We use this client table to connect back to the project table, and this shows us which clients are for which projects.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm going to walk you through the Access database and also the associated queries. Here you can see a list of the queries we've created. Some include number of students that attended a specific training day, labor costs, current active projects, partner information, client information, and many others, as you can see below. Next, we will look at the Access database and walk you through a few of the queries. So here you can see the Access database. On the far left, you can see tables that we have created, such as client, partner, student training, and then below are the associated queries. First, to see the relationships we've created, go to Database Tools and Relationships. Here you can see the similar model that was created that outlines all of the different entities and associated characteristics. From here, I will show you a few of the tables to have an idea of where the information from the current Excel spreadsheets will be opened up. You can see on the student table, where we have the student banner ID, their first name, email, address, other information that would be pulled from the Excel spreadsheets that can be easily uploaded. You can also see how we have tables that show students right here at their student ID and also the training day. Most of this will just be uploaded directly from Excel, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Next, we will go through some of the queries. So for example, the first query we have will output the student's first name, their last name, and the training date that they attended. So essentially, Xlink will just have to determine which date they would like to see, and the query will automatically pull the students that have attended. To get a little bit technical, all that Xlink will have to do will update this date depending on what date they would like. Otherwise, the query will select run, and the query will output the appropriate information. Another query that we have is student name and then the number of training days they attended. So here you can see the student first name and their last name, and also the last column, which is a total count of the days that they have attended. Next, we have a query that brings the project ID and the associated company, along with the total number of students that are working on that project. This provides Xlink with the knowledge of how many students they have for each project and if new students need to be added or taken off of the project. The next query we have is all of the labor cost information associated by projects. So we have the project ID, the hourly rate that student is being paid, the total number of hours that have been worked on that particular project, and then lastly, the total amount paid, which is just a calculation of the hourly rate times total hours worked. Next, we have a query that goes through and lists projects that are currently being worked on. Here you can see it lists the company, project ID for reference, and the end date. So essentially, the Xlink will have to insert a current day, and it will basically show you which projects are still in process. Next, we have a simple query that pulls just the total number of projects being worked on along with the total revenue being brought in. This will just give Xlink a clear idea of how much money they're bringing in off the projects. In addition, we have another query that lists the company along with the associated price of that project. Again, this is all just sample data, so the actual numbers and figures will be updated from the Excel spreadsheets. We only have a few more queries to run through, but here is basically just a full query of information where it provides you with your partner information, such as their ID, the company name, their address, city, state, zip, phone number, along with the associated contact for that partner. So here you can see that we have different company consulting teams or whoever the partner may be, along with the specific contact that is connected to that partner. In addition, we have some information about specific projects. Here you can see that you have the project ID, the partner contact that's associated with that project, and then also what the type of project this is. So this will allow Xlink to know how many projects they have working based off of their type. And our last query we have provides contact information for the client. So here you can see you have your contact ID, your client ID, the company that's associated, and then the client information. Essentially all that Xlink will have to do is go into the SQL and select which company they would like information for. Here we have decided it to be the Cincinnati Zoo, and it will run and output all that information for that specific company. So it's just a brief overview of our database, and for further questions, please consult our summary management report.
From everyone in Group 3 from 0358, we thank you for letting us do your database, and we hope it works well for your company. If you have any questions on it, just consult the executive summary. Rachel briefly talked about that. Should have further in-depth instructions into the purpose of it, how it works, some issues you could actually come up with, as well as some security recommendations we have just to make sure that some of the really sensitive information doesn't really get leaked out. But But again, thank you for letting us do your consulting project, and we hope this works for you. Thanks again.